Simmons might also be the weakest, most pathetic excuse for a professional athlete we have ever seen in not just American history, but the history of sports. I can't think.
Is basketball talented enough to succeed in the NBA? The answer to this question might seem obvious at first. After all, if you're good enough, you'll most likely find a path to the league one way or another. The player that we're covering today, though, will make you reconsider everything that you know about success. And you'll quickly realize that while being skilled and athletic prospect can help you earn a place in the NBA, keeping it though, that's a whole other question. So buckle up fam, because we're covering everything about Ben Simmons. From his phenomenal start to his downfall and how maybe he could still have success in the league. As the son of a basketball player, Ben was exposed to the sport at a very young age and quickly started to show proficiency in it. At just 15 years of age, he would get selected to take part in the FIBA Under-17 World Cup and would even win a silver medal in it, losing only to the United States. This would attract the eyes of recruiters from all over the United States. He would play with Montfort Academy, and there he would start writing his legacy with 3 consecutive national titles won, as well as winning Most Player of the Year awards as a senior. His college career at LSU would go in the same fashion. The Australian star would show there that he could do everything on the court and on the same occasion garner worldwide attention. During his run in the SEC tournament, he would lead his team in every single major statistical category. He was so dominant that he even had Magic Johnson calling him the best all-around player since LeBron James. To no one's surprise, the Sixers would use their first overall pick in the 2016 draft on Ben Simmons. Everyone was so excited to see this athletic monster who had been gifted an incredible basketball IQ in action. Unfortunately, we would have to wait one whole season to see him take his first steps in the league, as he fractured his foot in the last team scrimmage just before the beginning of the regular season. His hype started to slowly go down, with even some analysts doubting that he could ever make a true impact in the league. Well, as soon as Ben could play again, he would make the entire world notice the historical dominance an Australian rookie was showing in the NBA. 4 games into the season, and this guy already had a triple-double. To give a small idea of how crazy that is, no player had done this in the league since 1968. And he wouldn't stop there. With outstanding performance after outstanding performance, he not only contributed to the Sixers' 3rd seed in the East, but he would also cap off this season with the title of Rookie of the Year. After all, he proved to his rookie success would even continue into his first playoff games, beating another historic record by becoming the first rookie since the 80s to record a playoff triple-double as a rookie. Everything seemed to smile to Ben and would continue to do so for quite some time. In just his sophomore season, he would earn an All-Star selection, which would be the first out of 3 consecutive ones. What made Ben so unique was his completely unorthodox playing style. We had never really seen something like him before. I mean, we are talking here about a 6'10" guard whose main attribute on offense is his playmaking. Yeah, he could attack the basket and explode to the rim with his freakish athleticism, but he didn't need to. After all, he was playing with a juggernaut in the center position, no other than Joel Embiid. Still, one flagrant flaw in his game was his horrendous shooting mechanic, but he was still useful on offense by doing other stuff. On the defensive side of things though, there wasn't much to criticize in Ben's game, as he would quickly distinguish himself as one of the best one-on-one defenders in the entire league. His big frame for a guard and his exceptional athletic ability gave him the perfect ingredient to stop everyone from the small shifty guards like Trae Young to the big and powerful power forwards like Giannis Antetokounmpo, so much so that he would earn 2 all-defensive first-team selection in just his first 4 seasons. This guy not only went on to be the NBA steals leader in 2020, but also got an all-NBA team selection in that same year. He quickly became a must-watch player, always guarding the opposition's best player, all while being the main facilitator for his teammates. At that point, the sky was the ceiling for Ben, and everyone thought that every next increment of success was just a matter of time. Well, let's just say that things don't go as expected, or else you wouldn't be watching this video right now. Remember those minor shooting problems that I talked about earlier? Well, the truth is that their impact was a bit bigger than anticipated. You see, shooting is something that can be taught to any young player, but as years went by and Ben's didn't improve, doubt started to set itself in. And despite his yearly shooting videos during the offseason, Ben would slowly begin to find himself struggling to take shots far from the basket during NBA games. This in turn made Ben's game quite predictable. If you saw him near the 3-point line, then you knew for a fact that he wasn't going to let it fly from there, limiting the possibilities that he had and making him easier to defend. This would create a vicious cycle that would slowly eat away at his confidence. This would culminate in the 2021 playoffs, when in the last quarter of Game 7 of the Eastern Conference second round, he would pass out on a wide open layup. With his team down by 2, the Sixers wouldn't recover from this and so would end up losing the game and ultimately the series. The fallout after this was bigger than anyone expected, with Joel Embiid publicly putting the loss on Ben's back and saying,
I don't know how to say it, but I thought the turning point was just, we had an open shot and, we missed.
Despite Joel himself having an outstanding 8 turnovers in that game, even his coach, Doc Rivers, would come out with a statement saying that Ben wasn't a championship caliber player. Now, as you can imagine, getting publicly disrespected by his coach and the team's star player isn't something that happens very often. And let's just say that Ben's reaction to this was just as unprecedented. Now, to get the obvious thing out of the way is that, like numerous stars in the league lately, Ben requested from the Sixers to be traded. What's unique in this situation is that neither side wanted to cooperate with the other, with the Sixers organization not wishing to facilitate any solution and even players like Embiid coming out with a statement shaming Ben. The Aussie wouldn't give up on his demands, and so he would not report to training camp and start sitting out games. This resulted in a back and forth between the organization that kept fining him more and more, and the player would just refuse to listen to anything. As a result of this, Ben Simmons would become the most fined player in the NBA history. He would start citing mental health issues as a reason to avoid playing and get the team to stop fining him. This little drama would ultimately end in February of 2022, with the Sixers trading Ben in a blockbuster trade to the Brooklyn Nets in exchange for James Harden. Ben finally had the fresh start that he longed for. Well, not immediately anyway. As you can imagine, not playing for an entire year took its toll on Ben's body. Not only that, but he would also be diagnosed with a herniated disc in his back and would end up missing the entire rest of that season. He would even spend the entirety of that following off-season recovering from a back surgery done in May. The 22-23 season would be no different for the Australian, as injuries would keep taking their toll on his body, making him play a total of only 42 games. And every time he would start to get into a rhythm, it would be cut off by another injury, which ultimately just stopped him from building any momentum. From a knee injury in January to inflammation in his back in February, all the way to nerve issues in March, Ben had to go through it all. This would obviously impact his level of play, and so he would end up recording career lows in points, assists, and rebounds. The media was ruthless, with everyone seeing Ben Simmons as a failed superstar who was just going to keep declining until retirement. It seems like Ben has had different plans during this past offseason, as this was his first one since 2021, where he was not only healthy but also had a team that supported him. He has spent the summer grinding, as we've seen him playing his ass off in multiple social media posts. Not only that, but his first preseason games have been electric. His one against Philly was one for the ages, getting back to his old ways and dropping 9 dimes, each one better than the other. Add to that 3 steals and a block, and it seems like the old defensive juggernaut that brought fear into the opposition's guard is back. Not only that, but he shocked the entire arena when he dropped this move.
Simmons, turnaround jumper in the lane, and he gets it to go.
No, you're not dreaming. That's Ben Simmons dropping a clean turnaround fadeaway with nothing but net. It looks like Ben is preparing something that the NBA world is not ready. Well, the only thing that we can do now is wait and see. With the upcoming season starting very soon, this Ben Simmons comeback story is one that everyone is longing to see. But what do you guys think? Is Ben going to get back his old all-star level, or is it just too late for him to set himself as one of the league's best? I would love it if you could share what you have in mind with me in the comments below.